Cody, how worried are you on like a scale of 1 to 10 right now?
Oh, it's already we're already talking to Cam. The power Christian has now is getting out of hand.
Yeah, usually it's just been like you letting Kevin and I pretend while we're sitting over here in what is this, Mic 1, that we have power, but really it's Cody with all the power. He runs the board, he runs the computer, and we just sat over here and talked. Now, Cody, I have all the access with my keyboard and mouse to the said computer. So if I wanted to right now, I could play whatever audio I wanted to.
No, I still control the board, so I can turn the audio off.
No, but I know what's up right now. And so if you want to hear Cam, then I know that the audition's up, and so I can play whatever I want.
Yeah, it scares me.
So yeah, just have that in the back of your mind for the rest of the show today. Christian Gokel alongside Cody Queen and Cam Urshery here on Second Down. Glad to have you alongside on this Friday afternoon. We have a lot to get to today on what has turned out to Cody be just a beautiful day here in South Georgia, but
beautiful day,
but a news-filled day as well. And so I'm gonna give you guys the choice. You guys want to start with Braves news or NFL news today on the show?
Braves it feels like a baseball day today.
Man, if I had to put money on that, I would have lost, Cam. If given Cody the option between Braves news and NFL news, him picking.
Well, are we eventually going to talk about the NFL news?
Well, yeah.
Well, just save the best for last.
We got 3 whole more seconds after this.
Save the best for last.
So for last, so you want to do the 45 where there's like 2 minutes?
No. Let's do it next segment.
Second to last, or do you want to do it next?
Next.
All right. Well, we do have a lot of Brave news to get into, and I think the biggest news of the day, Cam, the club has announced an initial capacity of 33% at Truist Park. So there will be fans in the stands in Truist Park this coming season. That obviously a stark contrast to last year. We were talking about this a little bit earlier in the week, listening to games on the radio, and they were pumping in fake crowd noise. And so, I mean, Cam, even if it's just 33%, that is a huge difference in terms of the atmosphere in the stadiums, just the flow of the games, because now you will have a little bit of a quote-unquote home field advantage, even if it is only 33%. I think Texas said that the Rangers are going to have 100% for opening day, and then they're going to go back to 80%, I mean, which is weird. But, I mean, even, Cam, 33% I think is a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. That's a lot of people. People don't recognize how many people that is, but at the same time, you know, it's well-deserved. Last year they didn't have any fans, so this year, you know, they get some fans, space things out, and just take baby steps from there.
Hey, Cody, I know just watching last year, obviously we just wanted baseball back, right? And so once it was finally back, we were all really excited to have games pretty much every night. The Braves play like 18 games to start that 60-game stretch, but it did just seem a little bit off. And then you got to the playoffs, and they did the bubbles out in Texas, and you were able to get a little bit of fan support in there. Even that just few thousand people in the stadium makes a massive difference.
Well, what's the prediction right now? Like 13,500 fans right now. I think they're saying it's going to be on there. Yep. So 13,500 fans is a lot better than no fans. But hopefully this whole entire coronavirus starts. I know I'm starting to sound like BJ Bennett, but I'm being dead serious. This is the thing called super spreaders. So just stay distant, stay safe, have fun, root the Braves, root the Bravos on. This is going to be a good team next year. I'm not a big baseball guy, but I know more about the Braves than any other baseball team. So I cannot say I'm a fan of any other team, but
that's way to sell it.
The Braves, yeah.
That's what I don't know a whole lot about them, but you know, I know more about them than any other team.
Well, but I do know quite a bit about the Braves, and I love them. I actually love the Braves. I love freaking Acuna. I love Freddie Freeman. Dude,
no one's questioning your love here, Cody.
I'm just saying it's going to be fun this year. It's going to be fun to watch them. It's always better to cover a sport or a team when they are a hot team. I think having
I would argue that. I think it's equally fun. Either they have to be really good or terrible. Because if they're terrible, then you could just get all the spicy, fun articles that you get to write. Versus the teams that are really good, then you get all the fun articles you get to write. But the ones you don't want are like the Falcons, where it's just constantly 7-9 all the time. Yeah, that's when it gets tough to cover. But no, like you said, just doing some rudimentary math. Truist Park has a listed capacity of 41,084. And so if you throw it into the old calculator, 33% of that, 13,530 fans. But I mean, that's like a Marlin single game record right there. So I mean,
oh yeah.
the Braves should be good. I mean, I was watching, they were showing some old Marlins highlights of Dan Uggla. I think it was like Dan Uggla's birthday. And they showed him hitting a home run, and it was just into an empty outfield. And I was like, did Dan Uggla play last year? Oh, no, that's just the Marlins. But that being said, 33% capacity at Truist Park for the Braves coming up initially. That can change as the season goes, just depending on vaccinations, local regulations, and what the Braves decide to do. Also in Braves news today, Cody.
I got the average attendance for Marlins.
Please hit me with that.
10,000. That's it's below than what the Braves are getting ready to. Oh my God.
Yeah. So I am waiting for the Marlins to get roasted if they come out with a limited capacity release, because that'll be interesting to watch. But also in Braves news, Nick Marchakis has retired after 15 seasons. Cam, stat you might not know about Nick Marchakis, and a lot of people know, just a consummate professional, a guy that you could run out there and play for the most part of his career any position in the outfield if you needed him to. And he was a guy who wasn't going to strike out, was going to put the ball in play. Just a really good pro to have on the team. He is retired after 15 seasons, but he holds the record for consecutive games without an error by an outfielder. Major League Baseball record. All the outfielders of all time, he holds that record with 398. He played 398 consecutive games as an outfielder and didn't have an error over 2 seasons. So I mean, that's impressive. Finished his career with 2,388 hits with a 288 batting average. I mean, Cam, a guy I know a lot of Braves fans were really happy when they got him from the Orioles, because he's a guy from North Atlanta, the Marietta area over there. I think, could be wrong, I want to say Woodstock High School is where he played ball in the high school era. Nick Marchakis, but Cody obviously paying attention. But I mean, Cam, a guy that's going to be missed, and a guy who's been a pro the last few years for the Braves.
Yeah, any person that plays 15 years of professional or anything, he's pretty good. Most guys can't make it after the first, second, third year. He's pretty good 15 years. And then same time, when you just said 300 something games without an error, that's kind of insane. You're basically
2 games away from 400.
Yeah, you're basically perfect at your position at the defensive end, because outfield, that's defense. You're basically perfect. So he will be missed, because there's going to be somebody that replaces him and will make an error in the next 300 something games.
Well, it'll be Azuña or Acuna, because those are the guys who are playing his spots. But I think the thought with Marchakis was I right about Woodstock High School?
Yes, and he also went to Young Harris College, which is in Young Harris, Georgia.
Yeah. So, but the thing with Marchakis, I think a lot of fans realize this, is if he did come back with the Braves, it would have been as a bench position. And then at that point, is it a guy who is just holding up a bench position that one of the younger guys could play? Because he wasn't going to start over Azuña. He wasn't going to start over Acuna. The only shot he really had at playing is like maybe if they brought the DH back again, and he could have played that outfield role and allowed Azuña to roll to the DH. But now that there won't be a DH in the NL this year, I got to think with some other news, Ender Inciarte is going to be out with a thumb injury. I think that clears the way for Christian Pache to take over in center field. And Brian Snitker has said so far this spring he likes some of the at-bats he's taken in the games, and he's liked a lot of the at-bats that he's taken in the simulated games. No one questions his defense. We've seen that dude. He can fly. And I think that's why the Braves feel comfortable putting Azuña out in the outfield, because they know 75% of the outfield is going to be covered up by Acuna and Pache. We just need Azuña to not mess up too bad. And I didn't think he played terribly in his limited action in the outfield in 2020. But just getting back to Marchakis, I think, Cam, it was a lot of thought around it. Was he was a guy who helped transition the Braves from bad to the Braves who have won now, 3 consecutive division titles, going for a 4th in a row this year. But maybe now that this team is a contender, I mean, made it within a game of the World Series last year, maybe it was time for him to move on. He's retiring. He doesn't want to go play anywhere else, and allow the younger guys, I don't want to say, be honest, the more talented guys to come up and start filling out this roster.
Yeah, I mean, probably a veteran presence to get them, like a bridge to get them where they needed to be. But it's still cool. Water under the bridge. I mean, 15 years, that's an extremely long time. Baseball money, definitely. So, I mean, he got talented guys behind him, but the Braves would be all right. It's just going to be consistency to be replaced, basically. That's it.
Well, they weren't breaking the bank with Marquez. What they give him like a 1 year, $4 million deal or whatever? It was like pretty
2020 was even shorter than that because it was only a 60-game season, so those salaries were prorated. Here, I have it right here. He earned 1.4 last year, but like you said, Cam, 15 seasons in Major League Baseball, earned 114, almost 115 million dollars. So look, Nicky Cakes is doing all right. And if you remember last year, he was one of the guys who opted out because he just didn't necessarily feel comfortable, watched the Braves play a few games, and decided to opt back in and helped last year. I think a 254 batting average, 15 RBIs last year for the Atlanta Braves. But I think now you just have that really young 2/3 of the outfield with Pache and Acuna, and then you have the power and the dynamite in Ozuna. So I think those guys have it locked up. You have a few other guys that are pushing to be the backups when you have to give one of those guys a day off. I think you want Ender Inciarte back as a backup and a guy who can spell Pache, or if Pache goes through some struggles, you'll have him back. But I mean, Cam, I'm looking at this Braves team, and we are now little over 3 weeks away from opening day. I'm feeling more and more optimistic about this team because I think Austin Riley has had a really solid spring so far. You know what you're going to get from Dansby Swanson and Ozzie Albies up the middle. Freddie Freeman is the MVP. Travis d'Arnaud, I think, is one of the better catchers in the league. And then we just talked about the outfield. And then I know a lot of people say the Braves have some good guys, but they're real young. And how do they stack up next to the rest of the NL East? I feel really good with Max Fried, with Ian Anderson, with Mike Soroka when he gets back. You go out and get a Charlie Morton, Drew Smiley. I mean, I'm looking at this team, Cam, and I see no reason why they shouldn't be right back where they were last season.
I mean, you should be excited. It's probably first, second, third best team in Major League Baseball. And then what you should be most excited is the bullpen. That's what probably lost y'all that series last year, not having enough pitchers against the Dodgers. And basically everybody's coming back. And it's like you get that puncher's chance to beat the Dodgers again, go back to the World Series, and possibly bring a championship to Atlanta.
Yeah, I think really the only guy that might hurt that you lost so far is Mark Melancon. But I think you feel like with some of the guys, you can replace his production. You never really had a true closer last year. Melancon was pretty much that guy. I know it's going to horrify a ton of Braves fans, but Luke Jackson has been getting a lot of save opportunities so far in spring training. On yesterday, he got a save, sat down the side, 1, 2, 3. Acuna and Michael Harris both went yard yesterday. I want to pull up the tweet because MLB had some of those 8K cameras out at the Braves game, and they showed Acuna hitting the home run. He did the bat. It wasn't even a bat toss. It was more of a, I'm going to hit this home run. I'm going to look at it for a second, run, jog, and then kind of bat
toss. A little bit.
Yeah, toss.
Yeah.
But I mean, was it really a toss or was it a drop? More of like a bat.
More like,
drop.
like a heavy drop.
Bat toss, and I think, or bat flip, and I think like that thing spinning a few times. He just kind of threw it. And it's like, maybe he's just throwing it back to the dugout. So the kid doesn't have to run out quite as far to go grab the bat. But I mean, just the top comments. Dude acted like it's World Series Game 7, bottom of the 9th, tied game. Give me a break.
Never supposed to be excited.
Disgrace to the game with two mad face emojis. One cursing face, like where they have the censor bar over its mouth.
It's getting serious.
Yeah, and then another mad face. The next comment. So we pimping spring training games. There's that one. Nice hit off of a single A pitcher, in my opinion. I don't know what, in my opinion, has to do with anything there. And yeah, act like you've been there before.
I'm stunting on him. I don't care, man. I'm stunting on him.
Beautiful. I mean, I love the bat flips, and it's like I think even more so than that, the pitchers, like especially the young pitchers who come up, don't care. They're just used to it now. Now you show that bat flip to Kevin.
Oh, I know. Just freaks out.
Right. He'll be ready to trade Acuna.
He's saying Babe Ruth's rolling in his grave and doing all this. Like, dude,
Kevin,
chill out.
Oh, yeah. Kevin will get upset about that. But that being said, here's another bat flip admiring and slow trot in spring training. Relax.
Can I ask you a question about the Braves? You know, way more baseball than I do. Austin Riley, he's really fallen off a little bit. Are they going to use him at third or first?
I don't know if he's fallen off. Freddie Freeman's got first locked up, and
because I know last year and the year before they were like trying to swap him out. This is 2 years in a row. Are they going to try to do that again?
They're not going to mess with Freddie Freeman anymore.
Well, then you're saying the pitching also, the farm system. Would they have that kid Kyle Kyle Muller. He's a
Yeah.
lefty. Or do you think they're going to bring him up this year?
I don't think they will if they don't have to.
Okay.
Because I mean, your thought is you brought in Smiley and Charlie Morton, and those are going to be two guys that are going to lock up. You have Max Fried. You're waiting for Soroka to get back. I don't think they're ready to give up on Kyle Wright yet.
Okay,
so I mean,
yeah.
they have. I think the Braves probably go 7-8 deep before they start trying to go to the farm system to bring more guys up. Ian Anderson, I didn't even say Ian Anderson in there, who had an unbelievable season last year. But I think Austin Riley gets an unfair rap. I mean, the dude, I don't even know if he's played 162 games yet.
He has not.
In
His
his career.
first year came in about half, not a little more than halfway through the season, was knocking him out of the park. Last year, obviously, it was a shortened season, so he didn't get a full season. He might not have a full season of games underneath.
He's played 131 games in his career.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, and he's got 462 at bats and 26 home runs. He's got a career 232 batting average. But again, last year was weird, and he had a couple of rough games. But that being said, you did see a 0.013 added to the average right there. He goes up to 239 from 226. So I mean, there was a slight improvement last year, but I mean, I think people kind of figured him out midway through the 2019 stretch for him, and then in 2020, I mean, he couldn't hit a breaking ball.
Yeah,
right. I mean, he's gonna strike out a lot, but also when he gets a hold of the ball, he's gonna absolutely deposit it in the next state. And really, if you think about it, with the lineup the Braves have, you don't need him to hit for average. You're going to put him down at the 7 or 8 spot right in front of the pitcher and just say, whatever you can give us is fine, because the rest of the lineup is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, I think he plays a good third base, and I think he's caught a bad rap because, like I said, he still hasn't played 162 games in his career. So let's give him some time before we give up on him there, Braves fans. I know you're not the only one asking that question. Like, what are we going to do at third base? The Braves need to make a move, go out there and get somebody. It's like, well, do they? So let's not give up on this kid, Austin Riley, who can just absolutely mash baseballs. We got more to come. We'll dive into some NFL news. The Falcons re-signing some guys, including Young Wei Koo. They had an interesting way of celebrating that re-signing. We'll dive into all that when we come back next, right here on Second Down. Matt Ray from VR2 on SI.com going to join us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Josh Heupel has rounded out his defensive staff up there at Tennessee, and man, it is loaded with former SEC coaches. He wasn't messing around when it came to going out and get the defensive staff. He goes out and gets Tim Banks, who was the defensive coordinator at Penn State, or co-defensive coordinator at Penn State for the last few years, but also on the staff, Mike Eckler, who Georgia fans might remember was there from 2014 to 2015 coaching linebackers. Rodney Garner, which my man has been around the SEC for a minute coaching defensive linemen. He was at Auburn from 1990 to 95, Tennessee, then obviously Georgia for over 14 years, and then a 7-year stop at Auburn. He is now the defensive line coach at Tennessee. And then they go out and get former Georgia defensive coordinator Willie Martinez. He was with Georgia from 2001 to 2009, went to Auburn for a year, and then was in Tennessee from 13 to 16, now back with the Volunteers as their secondary coach. So Josh Heupel's like, listen, coming up from UCF, I'm going to try to install this offense, but on the flip side of it, I know Alabama's had one of the best offenses of all time for the past few years. LSU's pretty dang good. Oh, by the way, Georgia has just smacked us the last few years. Let's go out and get some guys that know what they're doing. I think that's a pretty good staff he's put together on that side of the ball. I just don't know how many players he's going to have to throw out there, because you look at the teams that have lost people to the transfer portal in Tennessee, well over 20 players that have transferred out of the program since the old Jeremy Pruitt situation came about. But that being said, Matt Ray going to join us around 4:30 to discuss the Vols and what's the latest from them. But some breaking news from the NFL to get to from earlier today. Tom Brady going to play till he's 60. Has signed an extension with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Cam is good through the 2022 seasons, but importantly for the 2021 season, it saves the Tampa Bay Buccaneers $19 million to go out there and sign whoever Tom Brady wants them to sign. I mean, the freight train is just going to keep on rolling.
Can this man retire, please? Respectfully. 19 million in cap. I know what's happening. I've heard the reports trying to get Odell.
Seen it.
That's very, that's very scary. I'm praying Green Bay goes and gets him just to keep him away from Tampa or somebody. But golly, yeah, Tom Brady's really smart with this contract and restructuring this contract and things like that to win. He's really smart.
He's done it his whole career. I think the reports were, I don't know if it's ever been confirmed because it's not a public company, but when he was with the Patriots, they actually would sign him for lower contracts and give him ownership stakes inside of the Patriots organization, is where he'd make a lot of money from. I mean, honestly, he's got a sugar mama, right? And Giselle. I mean, she makes a ton more money than he does. So, I mean, he's just like got the fun money to throw around over there. But that being said, Tom Brady signs an extension good through the 2022 season. So we're going to see Tom in the NFC South for at least the next 2 years, maybe even longer. Go ahead.
She's worth double what he is.
Well, there you go.
Whoa.
Also in the news, Mark Ingram has signed with the Texans. And I guess like maybe that's just a thought. Like, hey, listen, we might not have anybody that can block for you, but Mark Ingram, he'll eat up at least one of those blitzers. Deshaun, maybe you'll think about staying. I don't know that Deshaun have reports come out at all that he's had any communications with the Texans outside of you know what I want, and it's to be traded. So, I mean, Mark Ingram, I think that's a fine signing for them. He's a good running back. I still think he's got some stuff left in the tank. But I want to get y'all's thoughts on this. Other quarterback news. The Patriots have re-upped Cam Newton. They signed him to a 1-year, $14 million deal. And reports are that the Patriots are kind of going in the opposite direction as a lot of the NFL, where everyone wants to spread it out now, sling it around. Reports are Bill Belichick wants to get back to just playing phenomenal special teams, amazing defense, and pounding the rock on offense.
I love it. I'm a Cam Newton fan. I know he's not really had teams around him lately.
So far, Cam, he loves Ronald Acuna, he loves Freddie Freeman, and he loves Cam Newton. That's a lot of love today, Cody.
But I'm saying is that this is the team where they're going to start signing. They're going to start signing free agents. There's a few receivers out there. You were talking about this yesterday during a break. There's plenty of receivers out there that they have
right off the top of my head, Kenny Galladay and Sammy Watkins, both free agents.
They have a bunch of money right now to trying to make him a better quarterback than he is, because he had no help last year. Even the offensive line was actually decimated by injury, and they were swapping guys who were playing tackle,
And you
center.
had multiple guys opting out
Opt
due
out,
to COVID-19. You had Cam Newton actually missed time when he contracted COVID-19. So I don't think they put the faults of the team
No, not at
on
all.
Cam Newton. It's really easy for the fan base to do that and say, hey, that's Tom Brady leaves, Cam Newton comes in, and we're bad. It's Cam Newton's fault, right? That's the easy arithmetic to do, but I don't think that was entirely the case. I'm excited to see Cam Newton back there, and if they're doing what they're saying they're doing, which is going back to like too tight, power eye, I think this could be really fun to watch. I mean, Bill Belichick, say what you will about him, it was like saying, hey, Tom Brady proved that was him and not Belichick this year. Bill Belichick knows how to coach football.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited to see the Patriots coming up this year. But in some local news, the Falcons restructuring Jake Matthews' contract. We don't know the final details of that. Got to think it's coming for Deion Jones as well as Grady Jarrett. And then they're not, Cam, going to pick up the option on DeMonte KZ, according to reports. So like Jalen Hawkins is like the only dude left in the safeties room. There's like maybe like Falcons like secondary room is like 2 dudes right now. They're going to be calling you and me to come up there like, hey, we need somebody just to get out there because we can't afford anybody right now. I mean, it's bad in the Falcons secondary room right now, Cam.
Yeah, it's bad, but it needed to happen. We've had a bad secondary for the past 3-4 years. I mean,
yeah, that was going to be my next point is even if there's nobody there, eventually you got to start moving on from the guys who just don't work. And it just didn't seem the Isaiah Oliver experience seems like it's failed. The Keanu Neal experience, Ricardo Allen was fine, but he was never anything anyone would write home about. And then KZ, I kind of liked KZ. I thought he made plays, but also just as many great plays as you saw him make, you saw double just kind of boneheaded plays get lost in coverage. So they're not picking up the option on him. So you got to think, I guess you could start looking at the depth chart and projecting out towards the draft. Maybe, Cam, is we're hearing reports that they're going to get a quarterback in the first round. Could that second round pick be one of those highly regarded DBs?
Well, I hope so. This is the first time I've ever seen the Falcons do something like this, where they're just releasing a bunch of guys that didn't necessarily pan out. We usually keep them. So I'm just going to sit back and be patient, relax. I told my pops yesterday, he's like, what are they doing? Just relax. It's a whole new staff.
No, man.
No, don't relax.
It's nothing else you can do.
But see, this is what all Falcons fans are doing. I'm not saying you're a Falcons fan, but they're doing the same thing Cody is like the Falcons are going to Falcon. They're not the Falcons anymore. They're not the same old Falcons. It's not Thomas Dimitroff. It's not Dan Quinn. It's not Mike Smith. It's Terry Fontenot. So we don't have a track record on him yet to say what he's going to do. So
don't get your hopes high, guys.
I'm not going either way. I mean, that's like 90% of the teams in the NFL don't
do it.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're not the Chiefs and the Buccaneers or in the Packers, don't get your hopes high. I mean, you can pretty much say that about 90% of the teams in the NFL. Cody, I'll tell you as a Broncos fan, don't get your hopes high. Drew Lock's still your quarterback right now, my guy.
There's plenty of hopes to have, all right?
With what?
With nothing. We have nothing.
I mean, you got Jerry Jeudy. He's pretty dang good.
We got and we also got Cortland Sutton. He's pretty good. But we also have Patrick Mahomes in the same division, so it's never going to be the same.
There you go. And Justin Herbert is the NFL Rookie of the Year.
Oh, my God. I don't want to talk about it.
So there you go.
Suck forever. This is what the Browns feel like now.
Yeah, there you go. So, but also in Falcons news, they re-sign Younghoe Koo. And speaking of Falcons going to Falcons, whoever was in charge of the social media post, I get what they were trying to do, but they put a release out on at least Twitter. I think it was on Instagram as well. And hey, the Falcons have re-signed Younghoe, and they post a video of some of his highlights. First highlight: Falcons down 10 with 9 seconds to go in a game, and Younghoe Koo kicking a 54-yarder. I mean, he nailed it, and he got the Falcons in one score with 5 seconds left on the clock. But I mean, that's the first highlight we pick is him kicking pretty much a meaningless field goal down 10 with 9 seconds left in the game.
Don't do that.
We got to do a little bit better than that. But I mean, I think that's a big resign. I think Younghoe has done a great job. Is one of the more consistent kickers right now in the league. Also on there, a guy I'd say watch out for, and I know it's going to be tough to break through the lineup right now, but maybe in the coming years, Greg Dortch. He's a guy that the Falcons had signed as a free agent last year, and they restructured his contract, bring him back. He's out of Wake Forest. I think this is going to be his second year coming up in the league, but he was an unbelievable receiver at Wake Forest, kind of a really good possession receiver in the middle of the field. I mean, he played all over the place at Wake, but he's going to be, I think, a really good possession receiver in the middle of the field. That's a guy to definitely watch out for that the Falcons have brought back. But again, Cam Newton re-signing with the Pats. Tom Brady going to play forever. Cam, you're going to retire before Tom Brady does. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's gonna keep haunting my life now. Since 2016, he has. So,
And we still
hey
have no idea
man,
how the Saints are going to get under the salary cap. They're blowing up Drew Brees' phone every day, trying to get a decision out of him.
Well, they're trying to text them, and then Drew Brees keeps on calling back because he's old. But you don't answer the calls, so you have to text. So Drew Brees doesn't know how to text.
The intern in the Saints office doesn't recognize the phone number, and they're like, I'm not answering that.
So, no, I'm not answering that.
I'm not answering that. There you go. So Cody, breaking news. That's what's happening with the New Orleans Saints. We got more to come here on Second Down. We'll be right back. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. 2 different locations in Savannah. Take care of all of your uniform needs. Breaking news out of the ACC from earlier today. Virginia is out of the ACC tournament after hitting a last-second 3 to advance in the ACC tournament. Their game against Georgia Tech obviously canceled, and Georgia Tech is now on to the ACC title game. Big news for Josh Pastner and the Yellow Jackets there. Unfortunate for Virginia and Duke that both of their seasons had to end the way they did with positive COVID-19 tests inside of their programs. And Virginia still in the tournament. Duke season obviously over there. But Georgia Tech on to the ACC title game, or they could potentially take on Florida State. I think a team who's probably the favorite to win this tournament coming in. They were the conference champs last year.
Yes, they were
crowned because the title or the tournament wasn't able to be played. Georgia's season mercifully comes to an end last night, 73-70 against Missouri. And if you didn't watch the game last night, Georgia had a chance in the waning seconds to tie the game up. Had 2 free throw attempts. We're down 2. And Cam, the one thing you can't do, lane violation from Georgia. So you had a guy who was hitting 65% of his free throws on the year up there. So, I mean, not a great chance he's going to hit both of them, but not terrible either. I mean, a clutch game like that. And then you have a lane violation that takes away one of your free throws. And so now even if you hit it, you're still down 1. I mean, that's just got to be unacceptable for Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of bad discipline, but at the same time, 65%, that's hit or miss. That really is in crunch time.
Well, then he went on to miss the next one. Missouri goes down. They hit a free throw. So it's a 3-point game. Georgia gets the ball back with about 4 seconds to get a 3-pointer off. And then just the play design is atrocious. You kind of throw up a brick off the side of the backboard. I mean, you have 4 seconds left in a game, Cam. You got to come up with a clean look for your best 3-point shooter, right? There's no excuse to have a guy get stuck at the top of the key and just hoist up a brick.
Yeah, that's more than enough time to draw up a play, get somebody open. More than enough.
Georgia's seasons since Tom Crean has taken over. Just take this information how you will. 2018, you go 11-21. Tom Crean's first year trying to rebuild after the Mark Fox situation. He obviously gets fired after a long tenure at Georgia. And so you're like, all right, Georgia's a bad program. 11-21. Let's start the rebuild. You get Anthony Edwards. Okay. You have Tom Crean coming into his second year. You get Anthony Edwards to stay home, a guy who's projected to be a top 4 lottery pick, and then goes on to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. You go 16-16 with Anthony Edwards. I just have, I mean, who's it? Markel Fultz at Washington, where Washington went under 500 while he was up there. I mean, it's very similar situations for Georgia basketball. And then this season, you go 14-12, where you're like, all right, that's over 500. And you've had some games against where you played Alabama pretty tight when you finished up the regular season. So maybe there's some improvement there, right? Well, you went 7-11 in conference. And so you
just get ready to say that, man.
You go 7-11 in conference, and you're out of conference schedule, which usually is where you make your money when it comes to getting into the tournament. Here was your out of conference schedule this year. Florida A&M, North Georgia, Jacksonville, Montana, Samford, Cincinnati, and Northeastern. Not Northwestern, Northeastern for the Georgia Bulldogs. So, I mean, the record looks good, or, I mean, looks not terrible. 14-12, you're above 500. But that out-of-conference schedule, Cam, that's pretty embarrassing. And I know you had to do what you had to do in 2020 to get even the games in. But when you're looking around and seeing some of the teams that other teams have played, and you're banking your schedule off of that, I'm just going to look at the conference schedule, because that out-of-conference schedule tells me nothing.
Yeah, and because of that, they won't get in the tournament. They may have a chance. Really? Yeah, they're not going to get in the tournament, but they went 7-11 because out-of-conference schedules make you battle-tested. They weren't battle-tested by the time they got the conference schedule, so there you go.
And I haven't seen the final score from the Alabama-Mississippi State game, but I think Alabama was up like 59-18 at one point, just raining away with 3-pointers. That's a team to watch in the tournament. I don't even say dark horse. They're obviously a top 10 team, but I mean, when you think about Alabama,
85-48.
Yeah, I mean, that's just bad. But I mean, Alabama, you watch them, and I want to be really careful saying this, Cam, but they kind of go with the Golden State model, where 99% of teams where if you get a guy who drives down the lane and he's got to look at the bucket, he's going to either try to put the lay-in in or take a foul. Where Golden State, they'll have somebody drive to the bucket and then they're kicking it out and taking a three-pointer, right? Which a less high percentage shot than the lane, but they know they have the shooters out there. That's Alabama. Alabama takes so many three-pointers that people would say were bad shots, but they just have dudes who can pour them in out there. I think they're a team that's going to make a deep run in the tournament.
Yeah, they're definitely Elite 18. And what I like about them is their first or second best player comes off the bench, Javon Quinterly. So they're dangerous. They really are. The drive and kick method that Golden State does, they're kind of doing it in college basketball. So they can get dangerous and hot.
Well, it's like you were saying, the Golden State thing, they're stacked at guard. You know what I mean? They don't have these big old giant dudes that like go. They're perimeter shooters. I was actually talking to BJ about Alabama basketball the other day. BJ's a real big college basketball guy. And from what he was saying, dude, they have like 5 guards in there that are just amazing. Just like you're saying, their second best player comes off the bench, a guard. You know what I mean? Like these point guards are having, their shooting guards that they have is different what the SEC basketball is used to seeing, which SEC's, like you have these big giant guys who are just physical, just go and nail the basket. These guys aren't really caring about that.
It's the conference of Anthony Davis, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you've seen in the past. But I do think the talent level has been spread out some. But you also have some teams that are down that are typically good, like a South Carolina. They're not very good this year. But yeah, I think Alabama has surprised a lot of people with just how good they have been this season. I want to get this Patrick Ewing sound up, Cody, because he had some words for the security detail at Madison Square Garden. If you haven't heard, Patrick Ewing, obviously his numbers in the rafters at Madison Square Garden, Cam, right? Like people should know who he is. Well, he was coaching the Georgetown Hoyas. They were playing at Madison Square Garden. And apparently the security guard, not a big basketball fan.
But I do want to say one thing, though. I thought this was my building, and I feel terrible that I'm getting stopped, accosted, asking for passes. Everybody in this building should know who the hell I am. And I'm getting stopped. I can't move around this building. Like I was like, what the hell? Is this Madison Square Garden? I'm going to have to call Mr. Dolan and say, geez, is my number in the rafters or what?
I mean, I think it's fair. There's certain guys on certain teams, right? That when they walk in the building, like if Dion walks into Doak Campbell, or has that name been changed? If Dion walks into Florida State Stadium in Tallahassee and he gets stopped by security, the security guard needs to have a conversation with whoever his boss is, right? I'm just saying, like Dominique getting stopped in State Farm Arena, then they're saying like, "Oh, sir, I want to see some ID." It's like, my ID is my face. My ID is my number in the rafters up there. I think Patrick Ewing's got a fair point there.
Yeah, he's the greatest Knicks player ever. And then on top, he played on the Dream Team. He's a Hall of Famer. And
he's the leading scorer for the Knicks.
Yeah. Exactly. And people wonder why nobody wants to go to the Knicks because of stuff like that. I mean, that's just ridiculous, man.
Is that what you would say if you're walking into Tiger Arena and somebody tried to stop you and ask for some ID?
No. That's a little bit different with me.
Do you know who I am?
I'm not a Hall of Famer. Patrick Ewing's
I'm going to have to holler at Broadnax about this.
Patrick Ewing's first ballot, man. That's ridiculous, though.
My guy was in Space Jam.
Yeah, dude. Alone.
Yeah,
alone. You should know him for that.
No, alone. How about something we learned in school called context clues, right? It's something we learn to process information coming in and figure stuff out. Context clues. Patrick Ewing's what, 7 feet tall?
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's 7'1". Yeah.
So like maybe we can
figure it
out.
He played basketball.
Yeah, bro. You play basketball. You're good. Like you're good. Yeah. Go ahead and go in. You're 7 feet tall. You can go ahead and go in. It's fine. Like.
Yep, he's 7 foot exactly.
Like let's use context clues here, Cam. That's all I'm saying. It probably had a Georgetown zip up on.
Yeah.
And like, what's the worst that happens when they're like, if a random 7 foot guy comes in and he's wearing a zip up, and you let him through and you get in trouble? Like what's the worst that can happen to you? Is you're like, he was 7 feet tall and wearing a Georgetown hoodie.
He doesn't play basketball. Is that what you're trying to tell me right now?
He was 7 feet tall and didn't have. I don't care that he didn't have his wristband or lanyard. I mean, I thought he was on the team. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that.
7 feet tall, you could probably walk into a basketball arena right now, no ticket.
That's the same with if you carry a ladder like anywhere It's you and another person. They think you're working it. You know what I mean? So you can get in anywhere. If you want to get in a movie theater and all that stuff, just carry a ladder. They think you're working in there. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Cody,
just carry a ladder.
Cody saying hashtag do crimes here on second down. Don't listen to Cody. Don't do that. But if you are 7 foot tall, just try to walk in to a basketball game and report back to us with your findings. It's an experiment. I'm curious. We got more to come here on second down. Final segment coming up next. Cam, I need a prediction from you.
So
Cody and I are running a beer mile tomorrow. If you don't know what a beer mile is, it means you're running a mile, and every quarter of a mile you have to stop and ingest a tasty barley and hop beverage. So 4 of them. I need a time prediction for Cody.
a beer mile.
Yeah. So
I mean,
you
y'all just running 1 mile.
yeah. So I got to
1
think,
mile.
Cody, right now. What's your average mile time right now? Cody, like 8-9 minutes.
8 minutes. Yeah.
8 minutes. If he's moving.
Oh dang. Okay. You know what? I give you 7.5, Cody. I believe in you.
Dude, don't be
Wait.
doing that.
You're going faster than his average mile time when he has to stop and ingest 4 beers.
Hey, Cody, 7.5,
I'm
man.
saying
Do
like
it. Get it
12
done.
minutes.
I'm trying to stay under 10.
I'm saying 12 minutes for Cody because I think that first one's going to get in there. You're going to be feeling okay.
I'm housing these brewskis, dude.
It's gonna be the second one on like when you get to the half-mile mark where your legs are starting to get a little sore, but also you have 16 to 32 ounces of beverage in your stomach, and when that starts jiggling around a little bit, it's gonna slow you down a little bit. That third one's gonna kill you, and then the fourth one is just gonna take you out. I'm saying 12 minutes for Cody. We'll let you know what happens on Monday. Christian Gokel, Cody Queen, and Cam Ursery. We'll talk to y'all coming up on Monday.